I am having so much fun with this show. Like, I absolutely have just been having a blast. I know not everybody is probably gonna, have the same enjoyment as I am while watching this show, Eminence in the Shadow, but man, oh man, like, I certainly have been just enjoying this week by week. Every time an episode comes out, I'm just like, I'm excited for it just as much as almost Mob Psycho 100. Like, I watch Mob Psycho 100, then watch Eminence in the Shadow, and I'm just like, man, it's a good day. That's literally my feelings. I just start to smile, and this show just leaves me with laughs, smiling, a little bit of serious moments of really wanting to ponder and think about where the story is going to go. This is a legitimately good show. I'm having a blast, and I know not everybody's going to agree with me and say that this is a good show. Some might find it maybe boring, or they might have dropped it already. Who knows? But personally, if there is one thing I think we can all agree on, all of you out there that's watching this video, is that we seek entertainment when we watch entertainment. We seek something that makes us smile, laugh, be happy, or sometimes even sad, depending on whatever mood we're in. And the series is definitely checking those boxes off for me, personally. I've been having a good time with it, and I've been laughing it up. Like, this scene is just... this scene is hilarious, and I can't get enough of Shadow. Like, I can't get enough of just his over-the-top antics with how he just plays up these edgy scenes to just how he is at the end, or how he wants to act like an NPC character. There's just so much hilarity from his character that it's so good. He's just such a fun character. Like, he's literally Ainzul from Overlord taken in an entirely different direction. That's exactly what he is, and I've just been having such a good time with this character. So, let's just get right into it. Let's just talk about the reason why you clicked on this video in the first place. Let's cover everything. Let's cover, the development of the plot, to the characters, to the character development, to the comedy, just everything. Let's dive headfirst right into it. So one thing in particular that I want to talk about is this scene right here, where Alpha comes into the picture and she starts to talk with Shadow, basically saying, the operation is commencing later tonight, and, everything about this scene just gives us a little bit that something's about to go down before we got to the end of the episode. But one thing that is interesting about this scene is that we get a little bit of insight into the MC, and Alpha as well, and all the other characters that are following him. We know in episode 2 of, Eminence in the Shadow, that the MC told a straight up lie. Like, he lied through his teeth about a demon cult, about heroes, and heroes' blood being collected or whatever, the curse, etc. We know he was lying through his teeth about everything he said in episode 2. However, thanks to circumstances, especially what we've seen in this episode and the previous episodes, that's turning out to be true. Like, it's turning more and more true as the episodes go on. Now, we don't know if everything he said is 100% accurate, but it's very clear that what he did say, a lot of it is true. There's a cult of some kind that is collecting blood from princesses and royalty and all that to revive a demon king. He definitely has told the truth in that area, even though he did lie. And in this episode, he explains to himself, he's like, everyone that's following him, like Alpha, Delta, Beta, Epsilon, all of them, they are following him and just going along with what he's saying because they care about him, because of compassion. They're just playing this game with him, and that, they just don't want to hurt his feelings. And so he feels like they care about him enough not to say he's lying, because he feels like they probably caught him on his lies and that he has been lying. But they don't say it to him because they care about him. And he doesn't say it back to them because he cares about them as well. So there's like this mutual barrier or misunderstanding between both sides. And I find that very fascinating because it lets us know that he truly thinks that they caught him on his lie and that he's still lying. And I wonder if the series progresses, like as we get more and more stuff that comes out with like the cult and about the heroes, the Demon King revival, etc., if the MC will start to, actually believe his own lie. Like, for instance, will he, realize that his lies are actually truths, and that they actually believe him, and they're not, just going along with him. I wonder if that will come out eventually, or if that's going to be stretched for the entirety of the story. That is my big question I have when I saw this moment of the episode. But speaking of which, I do want to take a few moments to talk about that, in terms of his lies, etc., and what does that really actually mean for the story. So one thing in particular that I think that is very fascinating about his supposed lies is how did his lies turn out to be so true. I think that is a big detail that does need to be discussed. Because, once again, we know he lied. But how did it turn into truth? That seems so obvious when you think about it. Like, there's a few ways to look at it. He got lucky. That's definitely a possibility. Maybe he has a special gift of some kind to where he's able to, like, turn lies into truths. Like, maybe, if he lies, somehow the world corrects. It's like, yeah, that actually did happen. I doubt that really happens, but it's a possibility with writing. I've seen crazy stuff within stories and fantasy stories. So that's always a possibility. Or it could be another. It could be because the author of Eminence in the Shadow loves using cliches, that maybe because of how cliche it is that, this demon cult is collecting blood of heroes to revive a demon king, and how cliche that really is, maybe the reason why the MC was able to guess that was because it's cliche. And I think that's a multi-layered meta joke, if that is indeed the case, because the author does love using cliches. That has definitely been something very apparent, especially with this episode. I mean, hell, let's just call them out. I mean, we have, like, for instance, this entire, like, edgy scene with him setting up for his little meeting and misunderstandings between characters and all that, not understanding the true motives of the MC, to also having this little scene where you have, like, the evil knights and all that setting up the MC, and, they're supposed to be the good guys, but they're really crusty evil. You have the pretty boy that obviously is, like, supposed to be the good person that protects everybody. Turns out this guy has a massive ego. He wants to be a part of the Knights of the Round and all that, and he feels inferior because he got a lower tier princess than the princess that he wanted, but he's actually working for the Demon King, etc. We have the stuff with the torture scene, the crusty knights being really over the top and torturing. We have the sister that, cares about the MC and wants to protect him and all that. You see her bickering in the background when this conversation's happening. So we know for a fact that there is a lot of cliches within Eminence in the Shadow. It's a no-brainer. I think anyone that has watched Eminence in the Shadow up to this point knows there is a lot of cliches. And I think that something does need to be said. Just because it's cliche doesn't mean it's bad. I think that's what people are going to think. And that's not what I'm saying. I just think that the author loves cliches and loves using cliches in a way to really subvert them or use them to add a level of comedy. And I think the way they are used is very tasteful. Like, I mean, this entire scene at the end is a good example of this. Like, you have, like, this guy, it's been very apparent since the last episode, he's kind of a suspicious guy, he's probably evil, and him doing what he's doing is really not much of a shock. And I think that what it really comes down to is how the author is able to weave these cliches together if it comes down to being a good written story or not. For instance, a good example is Black Clover. Black Clover gets a lot of crap. It does. And it is definitely very cliche, especially at the beginning. But Tabata, the author of Black Clover, has weaved the cliches in such a way to make it such an enjoyable and fun experience. And just because something is cliche, it depends on the writer of how that is executed. And, like, for instance, you can know a character is going to die, but if the author is able to make you feel for said character, even if you know the character is going to die, they've done their job, if they have gotten some form of emotion out of you. So I feel like, because of how I've gotten emotion out of me while watching this series, and I've enjoyed it, the author's doing a good job. But, anyways, the point is that I think that the way we have all this going on, it's good. It's a really good usage of cliches, and I've been having an absolute blast. Now, there is one thing I do want to talk about. I want to take a few moments to talk about this just over-the-top scene, which I think is just so good. I love how Shadow, he literally uses this decor to make his room look as edgy as possible, to put on this persona that he's a part of this top secret shadowy organization. It's just like, bro, it's so good. It's so good. Like, seriously, it's so good when you see him doing this. I mean, you just see, like, one of the characters come in, and they're like, I'm coming into the room and all that, and, she's, like, legit fangirling because of just how cool he is and all that, and this random letter he got, he just shows it to her. Just everything about the scene is hilarious. It is so freaking over the top and hilarious, and, I love that. I mean, I especially just love this, like, one torture scene that's actually early on. Like, he literally acts like an NPC. He's like, they're overdoing me for this NPC-ness. I need to outdo them. And he just starts screaming because he needs to scream to act more like an NPC. And I'm just like, yo, Yo, my man. Just everything about that. There's just good scenes. There's legit good scenes. But I guess this is a good segue. I do want to take a few moments to talk about our characters, or at least our support characters, because I think they're important and they need to be talked about. So Alpha, Delta, Beta, Epsilon, whatever. Okay, all the character names. We know there's a lot. We saw them at the end of episode 1, we saw them in episode 2, and we're starting to see them also in episode 4. We know there is a lot a part of Shadow's group. However, we don't know a lot about them. And I think that if there is any flaw that this show currently has, which can easily be corrected, it's not like a demerit to the show, because all it needs is just one episode. And it's probably going to happen very soon. The only thing that I want is to get characterization / development for the characters that are helping out Sid / Shadow in his organization. Because they have really cool designs, they look interesting, we know that they're probably connected to Heroes, or the Demon King, or Demon Cult in some way, we can kind of guess that one, but we don't really know how they joined his operation, why they joined his operation, etc., their circumstances. I want to know more about that. And obviously, this could be multi-layered. For instance, maybe that was cut. I mean, when it comes to light novels being adapted to an anime, there's a lot of stuff that sometimes just gets cut. That's a possibility things got cut. I don't know. I'm an anime only, so I can't really say. But, that's a possibility, but I think that we just haven't seen it be dived into yet, and I feel like it's only a matter of time until then. But yeah, I do hope we get some character development for the characters soon, or characterization at the very least. Now, speaking of characters, I do want to talk about the princess. I think the princess that got kidnapped, that we've been kind of following for 2 episodes now, she's gotten quite a bit of development, actually, which I think is very interesting, because we see throughout the episode, she loses the will to live. Like, she lost the will to live. She was just accepting what her captor was doing to her, and then all of a sudden, when she gets the chance of free will to be able to free herself and survive, she instantly wants to take it, and she goes for it, trying to fight for freedom, because she wants to live. But she gave up so quickly because it's like her life really is meaningless at this point. She really felt meaningless, and maybe the only purpose she had was to being used for a blood source to revive a Demon King. That's what she felt. But when she finally had this freedom to survive, she takes it, and then she meets someone that, supposedly her husband-to-be, and is evil. And he basically says, "You'll never be your sister," craps on her swordsmanship, and throws her to the ground. And she feels once again very inferior and low in life. There has been a lot of characterization and development for her character, and I wonder what direction the story's going to take her. For instance, because of Shadow appearing at the end, with all this, he's going to be confronting the Knight, and it's clear that he's going to win. Okay. But I wonder if the princess will become aware of who he is, or if we're going to follow the cliche, she won't recognize him because he has a hood on or something. But if she does recognize him, I wonder if she will join the organization. I would like that. I would really like that if she joined the organization, or even continue to be his girlfriend. I think that would be really cool if the story, ventures down that path. But I think that if there's one character that's gotten a lot of development, it's definitely been her. So overall, Eminence in the Shadow. How do I feel about episode 4? As you can see, I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed this show. I don't think that this is the best anime since sliced bread, but I do think that it is definitely fun. I've had a lot of fun watching this week by week, and I know people might not agree with me on that opinion, but I think that this is just a fun show. So I guess I'll leave it at that. If you enjoyed my episode review for Eminence in the Shadow, do leave me a like. It does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.